Hey guys, welcome back to Timmy Explained. Today, we're diving into one of the most thrilling sniper action movies ever made, Shooter. The story begins in Ethiopia, where Swagger and his spotter and close friend Donnie Finn are carrying out a dangerous mission in support of American forces. From a distant mountainside, the two men provide sniper cover while monitoring hostile activity. During the operation, they realize something is terribly wrong. The enemy appears unusually prepared, and the troops on the ground are walking straight into a deadly trap. The mission appears compromised, and enemy forces are far more prepared than expected. As the situation deteriorates, Swagger and Donnie request extraction. Instead of receiving support, they are effectively abandoned. Under heavy fire, the pair attempt to escape, but Donnie is killed. Swagger survives, carrying with him the guilt of losing his friend and the bitterness of feeling betrayed by the very people he served. Years later, Swagger has withdrawn from society. Living alone in the mountains with his dog, he wants nothing to do with military life or government affairs. But one day, his quiet life is interrupted when Colonel Isaac Johnson, a retired Army colonel, arrives unexpectedly. Johnson introduces himself and explains that he works with people in the government on national security matters. He tells Swagger that intelligence has uncovered a credible assassination threat against the President of the United States during an upcoming public appearance. According to Johnson, the threat appears to involve a highly skilled sniper, and the government needs someone who understands long-range shooting better than anyone else. Johnson asks Swagger to help identify the best location from which a sniper could take the shots so security can secure those positions before the event. Swagger does not agree right away. Still haunted by the mission in Ethiopia where he and Donnie were abandoned, he has little faith in the military or the government. He bluntly tells Johnson that he's finished with that life and isn't interested in getting involved. As far as he's concerned, the people who once sent him into danger have already proven they can't be trusted. Instead of arguing, Johnson leaves Swagger with his contact information and tells him to think about it. He reminds Swagger that if the intelligence is correct, the president's life could be at stake. After Johnson leaves, Swagger can't stop thinking about the request. Although he's deeply suspicious, he also knows that if someone really is planning to assassinate the president, his knowledge could prevent it. After spending the night thinking about Johnson's proposal, Swagger finally decides he can't ignore the possibility that someone might actually try to assassinate the president. Reluctantly, he agrees to help. Soon afterward, he catches a flight to begin assisting with the investigation. When he arrives, government personnel meet him at the airport and drive him to a secure location, where he reunites with Colonel Isaac Johnson and the rest of the security team. Johnson briefs him on the operation and explains that his only job is to think like a sniper. They aren't asking him to protect the president directly. They simply want him to identify the most likely place an assassin would take the shots so security can prepare for it. Swagger is then taken to inspect the possible locations. Relying on years of experience as one of the Marines' finest marksmen, he carefully studies the buildings, distances, elevations, sight lines, and wind conditions. After analyzing each site, he identifies the position he believes a professional sniper would choose. Confident in his assessment, Johnson thanks him for his help, and the security team begins preparing for the president's visit. On the day of the event, Swagger arrives early and takes up the observation position assigned to him. Believing he's there to help prevent an assassination, he carefully scans the surrounding buildings through his binoculars, looking for anything out of place. Every movement in the windows and on the rooftops catches his attention as he tries to anticipate where a sniper might be hiding. Just before the shot is fired, Swagger notices something that doesn't fit with the security plan. His instincts, as an experienced sniper, tell him that events are not unfolding the way he expected. Suddenly, a single rifle shot echoes through the area. For a brief moment, everyone assumes the president was the target. But within seconds, confusion spreads as it becomes clear that the bullet has struck the visiting Ethiopian archbishop instead. And before Swagger could make any sense out of it, he is shot. He understands that the entire operation has been a setup and that he has been chosen as the fall guy. Refusing to surrender, Swagger tries to escape. Despite being injured, he manages to evade capture using his military training. As he disappears, authorities launch a nationwide manhunt, branding him the assassin responsible for killing the archbishop. News broadcasts label him a dangerous fugitive, while the real conspirators believe they've successfully tied up every loose end. In that sequence, as Swagger is trying to escape the dragnet, he comes face-to-face with FBI agent Nick Memphis. After subduing him, Swagger uses the brief encounter to insist that he didn't kill the archbishop and that he's being framed. He tells Memphis to look beyond the official story and think about the evidence for himself. Swagger knows he doesn't have time to explain everything, so he plants the idea that the case isn't what it appears to be before continuing his escape. Swagger turns to Sarah Finn, Donnie's widow. Although she is initially shocked and uncertain, she reluctantly agrees to help him after hearing his side of the story. As Swagger recovers, he begins examining the assassination more closely. At the same time, FBI agent Nick Memphis is assigned to assist with the investigation. Unlike many around him, Memphis is not entirely convinced by the government's narrative. Certain details don't add up, and the more he investigates, the more suspicious he becomes. As Swagger follows the evidence, he uncovers links to powerful individuals connected to military operations overseas. He begins to suspect that the assassination was not an isolated act, but part of a much larger effort to conceal past crimes. As FBI agent Nick Memphis continues investigating the case, he begins to question the official story. His search for answers puts him in danger when men connected to the conspiracy capture him and try to force him to stop digging. Before they can silence him, Bob Lee Swagger intervenes. Using his tactical skills, Swagger rescues Memphis, proving that he isn't the ruthless killer the government claims he is. The rescue changes everything. Memphis realizes Swagger has been telling the truth, and from that point on, the two men join forces to expose the conspiracy behind the assassination. Together, they discover evidence suggesting that the Archbishop's death is connected to events in Ethiopia. Events involving corruption, violence, and a cover-up reaching far beyond a single assassination. As the truth starts coming into focus, the people behind the conspiracy become desperate. Swagger is pursued not only by law enforcement, but also by trained operatives determined to silence him permanently. During his investigation, Swagger seeks out someone with deep knowledge of elite military snipers to learn who might have had the skill to make the assassination shot. Then he mentioned a guy, very brutal, who doesn't shoot to kill, but to wound. He has murdered men, women, and children. He also mentioned that he was being targeted, so they brought in an artillery strike into one of his hideout, leaving him crippled while some believed he died. Swagger had a flashback to the day of the assassination. He remembers seeing a man in a wheelchair at the scene. At the time, the man didn't seem important because everyone's attention was focused on protecting the president and searching for the supposed sniper. Not knowing that he is the shooter recruited by the conspirators to carry out the assassination while simultaneously arranging circumstances that would make Swagger appear responsible. As Swagger discovers this, he immediately begins investigating the mysterious man, making plans to confront the assassinator. Meanwhile, the conspirators, always trying to take steps ahead, anticipate Swagger's next move. They knew he would come for the shooter. They quietly set a trap hoping to eliminate him before he can expose what really happened. They also decided to attack the only person he cares about, Sarah Finn, by taking her as hostage to lure Swagger and force him to abandon his investigation. Swagger knows he is walking into a trap set by Johnson's men. But he goes anyway because the shooter is the only person who can provide the truth. Swagger does not just walk through the front door. He approaches the heavily guarded estate with extreme caution, utilizing his camouflage and military training to bypass or quietly neutralize the perimeter security. When he finally enters the house, he finds the shooter sitting calmly in a chair, physically disabled and fully expecting Swagger's arrival. He doesn't deny his role. He openly admits to Swagger that he was the sniper who actually fired the shot in Philadelphia that killed the Ethiopian Archbishop, the shot meant to look like an attempt on the U.S. president. He explains the cynical reality of the situation to Swagger, delivering one of the movie's most memorable lines. The truth is that nothing, no matter how horrible, ever really happens without the approval of the government. He reveals that the Archbishop was assassinated because he was going to expose a horrific massacre in an African village, which was carried out to clear land for an oil pipeline backed by Senator Meacham and Colonel Johnson. As they speak, he reveals the true nature of the trap. He has no intention of being captured or testifying. He tells Swagger that a heavily armed private military strike team is already closing in on the house to eliminate both of them and erase any loose ends. Because he is trapped by his own physical limitations and knows what Johnson's men do to witnesses, he chooses his own exit. He triggers a mechanism or uses a concealed weapon to end his own life right in front of Swagger, ensuring he cannot be interrogated further. The moment he dies, the trap springs shut as the mercenary strike team descends on the house, opening fire and tearing the structure apart. Having already anticipated this, Swagger uses the chaos, the layout of the house, and his prepared escape routes to fight his way through the ambush, surviving the trap to take the fight back to Johnson. Then he calls them and plays the audio recording of the conversation he had with the shooter. Realizing they are about to be caught, they resorted to Plan B. which is to meet up on a remote, snow-covered mountain to exchange evidence for the kidnapped Sarah Finn. Swagger knew that was also a trap, so instead of walking into it, he used tactical deception, knowing that enemy snipers will be waiting to shoot him on sight. Swagger has FBI agent Nick Memphis dress in his clothes and walk out into the open as a decoy. Memphis is wearing a heavy-duty, concealed bulletproof vest to absorb the hit. As expected, an enemy sniper opens fire, hitting Memphis in the chest and knocking him down. However, the sound and trajectory of the gunshot immediately reveal the hidden sniper's position to Swagger, who is well camouflaged in the snow further up the mountain. Swagger systematically takes out the hidden mercenaries one by one from his superior vantage point. He eliminates the first sniper instantly, takes down a second when they try to target Memphis again, and spots a third after seeing the sun glint off their rifle scope. Jack Payne, the sadistic henchman holding Sarah hostage, realizes the plan has failed and tries to use her as a human shield. Swagger uses his precise marksmanship to disable Payne from a distance, shooting his arm to force him to drop his weapon. With the mercenaries eliminated and Colonel Johnson and Senator Meacham completely vulnerable, Swagger and Memphis successfully rescue Sarah. Knowing they're being tracked by federal authorities, they allow the corrupt politicians to leave the mountain, surrendering to the FBI shortly after so Swagger can formally present his evidence and clear his name in a controlled environment. Swagger is brought to a closed-door meeting with the U.S. Attorney General, Colonel Johnson, and the FBI Director. To prove his innocence, Swagger requests that his rifle, which the government claims he used in the assassination, be brought into the room. He loads a live round into the rifle, aims it directly at Colonel Johnson, and pulls the trigger. The gun merely clicks and does not fire. Swagger reveals that every time he leaves his home, he replaces the firing pins in his rifles with slightly shorter, modified ones, meaning none of his weapons could have been fired by anyone else. This definitively proves he could not have been the sniper in Philadelphia. While Swagger is cleared of the assassination charges, the Attorney General explains that they cannot legally prosecute Colonel Johnson or Senator Meacham. The massacres they committed in Africa occurred outside of U.S. jurisdiction, meaning the American legal system has no power to punish them for those specific crimes. Johnson walked out of the hearing completely free. Knowing that the law will not punish the corrupt politicians, Swagger takes matters into his own hands. Senator Meacham and Colonel Johnson retreat to a secluded, luxury cabin in the mountains to celebrate their victory and plan their next business moves. Swagger infiltrates the cabin, outmaneuvers their security, and confronts them. He eliminates the senator, the colonel, and their remaining co-conspirators to permanently ensure they can no longer harm anyone else or execute their corrupt operations. Swagger blows up the cabin to erase the evidence and drives away into the night with Sarah, successfully clearing his name and obtaining his own form of justice. And that's the story. If you enjoyed this recap, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another movie recap. See you in the next one.